Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Wednesday, August 28th. I'm starting this video that probably won't be up till Friday. We got a bunch of stuff to get to about Kamala, things to do with her, whatever. I mean, the stuff that's coming out about her. And I want to start off with something Trump said that, should be really scrutinized by any right wing person, any Trumper, because it just shows you what a POS he is. Before we get into that, though, let's do the whole thing I have to do now because of being shadow banned. Liking videos seems to be maybe the most important thing. I don't know. Leaving comments, even if it's just an emoji, and subscribing or resubscribing if you get unsubscribed, and hitting the notifications button, and just letting YouTube know that you're interested in the channel. And then, of course, there is ways to financially support the channel, which is the membership program and merchandise, or just leaving the, donations for a specific video. But anyways, let's get into this. So in my last video, I was covering Trump's, there was a period where some kind of event happened where Trump was, involving guns, where Trump met with all the prominent politicians. And I remembered this because I was covering RFK Jr. If you saw my last video, the video is entitled The Real Nature of Evil and Democratic Officials, or Democratic official says Kamala should not do interviews. That was Howard Dean. And he said that she should not interview with the shills that have been defending Joe Biden for years, which would be stunning in its own right, which is kind of a, this is how bad it's gotten. But I remember seeing a clip of Trump pandering to Dianne Feinstein, and it was like an hour-long, filmed session, so it was, propagandized. And a couple of disturbing things happened there, a lot of disturbing things. Like Trump was pushing for gun control. He was telling the Republicans and the people who are, influenced by the NRA that you guys are all scared of the NRA. And he was, agreeing with Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein, and he was pushing for it, like Trump does, right? He was comparing what he was going to do to other presidents and saying none of them got it done, Democrats or Republicans, but we need to do it, right? And Dianne Feinstein was talking about AR-15s and these things. And then Trump said this, and I had not heard this before, but Trump said this.
Conservatives.
But take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first and go through due process second. And you effing Trumpers will ignore anything this guy said. He just said, take the guns first and do due process second. Now, the whole hour-long thing is, he is just saying all the things that Second Amendment people and right-wing Republicans and NRA people would be, freaked out about. He's saying things Democrats have never said. No Democratic president ever would have said that. It would, Obama, Biden and Kamala Harris won't say that. Nobody will. Take the guns first and go through due process second. Can you believe he said that? That's Trump, and you totally believe he said that, right? Why would you ignore that? This guy has just pulled off a big scam and hoax that most people, I'll reread this comment. I read it at the end of the video yesterday. And so this person said, since Ketchupgate, I think I've seen about 60 different videos from 50 different people that do a deep dive, every detail about that day, every pointless obfuscation rabbit hole. And this is maybe the third one total that so much as humored the idea that Trump was involved. It is so hopelessly pathetic and sad. So all these, wannabe fake truthers out there who we don't even suggest that Trump might have been involved when he totally did, right? Putting out a giant freaking, the way he's talked about this ever since, the way it's just faded, just like all these other fake false flaggy type of things fade away or whatever it is, right? It's silly. It's silly. The whole thing is silly. The whole official story is silly. Trump putting on a giant maxi pad to go out there when he had a cut that was less than, his doctor said it was less than 2 centimeters, less than an inch. And it really is no cut because he didn't get hurt at all. Nothing happened to him. And there's no stitches. There's no scarring. There's no indication that a bullet hit his ear. I mean, there's a bullet hit his ear, and there's nothing there. Nothing where he could show you, I mean, he's walking around now with his, with nothing, his ear completely showing that nothing happened to it. And that he didn't need that big bandage because it stopped bleeding immediately. No blood anywhere. I mean, the ketchup that they squirted on his ear, dried up by the time he was walking around pumping his fist. And it was just, Trump being a shill. And I want to show the whole, I want to add the additions of the stuff here, the other stuff, from the healthcare thing, because Trump has done it again. Kamala has ventured in there, which I showed you guys in a recent video. And Tim Walz has done it, where, they find somebody sick in the audience, some shill, and they look like they're, compassionate and they're in control and things. That compilation I have. And I'll show you that. But there's something else here. Now, I'm not a big gun person. When I was in college, I had a former drug dealing roommate who then became one of those sort of rent-a-cops in a, they had where you would pass some sort of limited test, like you wouldn't go through the police academy. You'd pass some limited test, and you could do things like direct traffic. And he was able to carry a gun, and this guy shouldn't because he was a like a scumbag. And he had a revolver that he had, and this guy kind of went insane later on, and he went to Israel to train with some of Mossad, ex-Mossad, kind of wannabe, I don't know what it was. You could go and train with these intelligence level people out in the desert, like these things, right? They give you combat training. He just kind of lost it. But before that, he became a rent-a-cop. And one of my other friends, I went in to ask my roommate something into his room, and one of my other friends came with me, and there was a gun he left his gun on the dresser. And my other friend picked it up, pointed it at him, and pulled the trigger. And immediately freaked out, said, I don't know why I just did that. And when we were freaked out, the gun was not loaded. But, he didn't know that. And he goes, I don't know why I just did that. And I'm like, this is why, if the gun was loaded, he would have killed this guy or at least shot him. And his life would have been ruined. And the guy he shot life would have been ruined. I would have been negatively affected in some way, right? And, I made my decisions about guns, that day. Not that guns were, people are too stupid to own them, safely, right? Half the time it's accidents and people shoot themselves with their own gun or somebody does something, right? There's another story where, I was living in Virginia and there was the local news station, there was kind of a bigger city next to where I lived. And the local news station, and I don't know why I was watching local news, I only had a TV for a short period of time during that period. But there was some guy and he was just going on a criminal, he had escaped jail or something. And he was going on a crime spree in this city. And there was a manhunt out for him. And this kid saw this on the TV or heard about it. And he pulled out his dad's shotgun. He was a 12-year-old kid. And he ended up shooting his sister. Because some paranoia that he had over some guy that was, not going to rob his house, but whatever, right? And so these are the stories, the one thing that I experienced and this other thing. That led me to believe that people can't, just the same thing with vehicles, with cars, driving them unsafely. A car is a weapon. You see people driving their weapons because a car kills people, right, unsafely. So I don't, I have mixed feelings about guns, right, because of just the stupidity of people. It's a killing machine. I'm not a big NRA person, these things, right? If you need it because it's, the collapse or whatever, that's one thing, and we all have to decide about those things for ourselves. But in terms of, the way that Republicans and, the gun worship that exists in the conservative movement and, the Second Amendment type people, I'm not one of those people, right? But what Trump said is highly unconstitutional and offensive to those people, and it shows that he's not one of you. Because even Democrats know you don't say take the guns first. You never say take the guns first. I mean, that's horrible. Take the guns first. Like, you don't say that. You never say that ever. No politician, Democrat or Republican, ever says that. No Democrat wants to be known as a gun grabber. You know, I've seen all these Democrats out there, you know, Joe Biden telling everyone he has a shotgun. I've seen Bill Clinton out there shooting. They just showed Tim Walz out there hunting, right? He's a hunter. Like, he's a guy who owns guns. You know, they all want to be gun owners, the Democrats. The Democrats don't want to, you know, have this idea that they're a gun grabber because, you know, they're independent people that might vote for them, but they want their guns, right? Americans love their guns. And so Democrats would never say grab the guns first. They would never say grab the guns, right? Get the guns. They, you know, don't want to be a gun grabber. And Trump said it. Like, Trump said, he's such a moron and he's so, like, oblivious and he thinks he's got you guys, which he does, in some sort of a cult that he can say any of these things. Again, this is years ago when he was president. He said, as president, get the guns. And then he says, take the guns first, go through due process second. Like, that in itself is another red flag. You don't ever go through due process second. You go through due process second. Your constitutional rights are that you have due process and that there is a, you know, Second Amendment right to own a firearm and that there has to be legislative, you know, whatever legislation that they try to put through has to be balanced with this idea of the Second Amendment, right? So he's saying just ignore the Second Amendment, get the guns, and then we'll worry about how to do it later on. Well, we can make it legal later on, right? How we can, you know, let's just get them. Let's just get them, you guys, and then we'll pass the laws. You know, not any kind of a legislative, constitutional, American, democratic process will bypass that and just get you guys guns. We're going to grab your guys' guns. That's what it is. And no Republican, no person who is a true Republican would ever say that shit, right? He would know better. I mean, his handlers must have been going nuts, right? And he did this in a kind of a legislative infomercial. He has Chuck Schumer and all these guys up there, all these politicians. And one of them was Joe Manchin, or whatever his name is, Manchin, from West Virginia. And he said, if it's coming from you, they'll trust you, right? And that's the thing about politicians, because no one really reads their policies. Nobody reads their, you know, what they're trying to push through. They make promises about, oh, we're gonna support the middle class. Oh, we're gonna cut taxes. But they, you know, they submit these legislative proposals, you know, their platforms, to the media, and you can read them, but how many people do? Like, how many people read, you know, the things that you, when you're having a software, the user agreement? I mean, you just click on the button, right? And you have no idea what it's a legal document. You've just, you know, to use some sort of software or whatever, you have to do that, right? You even do it with your TV now, with these lengthy agreements. You know, they have the ability to spy on your TV, you know, what you're watching on TV now, and you've just agreed to it. And, you know, all these things, these, you know, nefarious companies, they know you're not going to read it. And even if you did read it, you need a lawyer to tell you what it means. So, you know, this is the kind of stuff that people are not, you know, they're not curious. They're not thorough, right? And people don't want to read the ingredients. So what is it? Well, you kind of get a sense of the person. Is Trump the kind of person you can trust? Is Kamala Harris the kind of person you can trust? Like, this is a person. They're creating a brand for you that you say, oh, yeah, I can trust this person. Oh, yeah, you know, this person's like me. You know, this is what they're doing when they're selling these people to you. But you don't know what they're going to do until they do it. You can look at what they've done in the past, and I'm going to show you some shit that Kamala Harris did that's disturbing, right? But Trump has done equally, if not more, disturbing things, and even as president. That he was in this meeting where he was willing to get the guns first and do due process second, right?
Conservatives.
But take the guns first, go through due process second.
Like, that should disturb every one of you right-wing person. He's not like us. Like, you should, you know, that's what you should say. I'm not a right-winger, but you should say that, right? You ain't like us, right? You ain't one of us. Like, he just told you, I'm not one of you, because I don't even know what you guys believe, right? If I'm saying stuff like that, he doesn't know what you believe, right? He has no idea, like, why that is bad and why you don't say, get the guns first. He has no idea. Trump has no idea. And his handlers told him, and then he, you know, he I mean, eventually he caved on the whole thing. It fell apart. He didn't get anything done, but he tried. And one of the things he was saying is no other president has ever done this, right? It's the same thing that got him doing Operation Warp Speed. Like he was a little bit of kind of an anti-vaxxer, but like when Operation Warp Speed came, what did he say? We're going to do this better. We're going to do this faster. Like that was Trump's big thing. He had to be better than all the other presidents. He had to show how he could get things done faster. And whatever it was, like whatever the problem was, there's this problem. He just accepted the mainstream media's interpretation of it. The intelligence community's pushing this agenda that there was an event that involved guns, and Trump's like, all right, let's get the guns. Oh yeah, there's a coronavirus out there. There's an epidemic. Oh, let's do Operation Warp Speed. It's got to be faster, and we're going to use the military to roll it out. And Trump, we're going to do it better. We're going to show like people are going to their heads spin, and he's going to call himself the father of the vaccine because of it, because he wants to be, known as the guy, the special guy. I'll do it better. I'll do it faster. That's what Trump cares about. He doesn't care about your rights and what you believe in. And now that he has this fake Band-Aid, gate, this ketchup gate, where he allegedly was assaulted by one of these AR-15 style weapons, he totally will go after him. And this, what he was saying, the guy was saying, Joe Manchin, that they'll believe it. The Republicans will accept it because they trust you. And so that's how they're going to get him. Like if Trump's elected, I'm sure he's going to go after some of these things, and you guys are going to have your Colt goggles on. It just shows you how stupid you are, right? How stupid people are. Like people are worthless, right? Because you really feel strongly about something. You're patriots. You're Second Amendment people. You're Constitution people, right? And you let some flim-flam man come in and pretend to be one of you, and he shows you over and over again he's not. Like all the things that he's done, the creepy stuff he said about his daughter, the stuff he's said about women, the way he's been is, cheating on his wives. He's not a Christian. He says the stuff that there was divine intervention that prevented, a fake staged event from, killing him because he had an imaginary bullet hit his ear, right? Like he just says stuff and does things all the time, closing down the economy, pushing for mandatory, doing the things with masks and making it, available for Biden to have the vaccine way ahead of schedule, right? Because even Bill Gates said it would take till 2022 to get the vaccine out safely, and Trump had to be, no, I'm going to do it faster. I'm going to push it through faster. When is pushing medical, a new controversial medical experimental drug out faster been a good thing? When has that ever been a good thing? mRNA type of drug, when has that ever been a good thing? Do something like that. Without proper testing, without proper, any of it, scrutiny. No, we got to get out faster because Trump wants to tell everyone he got it out faster. Like he's better. I'm better than all the other guys. I'm better than all the presidents. I'll get the guns. No, the other presidents got the guns. I'll get them. Like, see, hey, you guys, look what I did. He just, whatever it is, right? And Trump will pander to whatever the climate is in the room that he's in, right? With the peoples he's in, whether it be this country or that country, he'll promise people things, right? Like he'll do Operation Warp Speed, and then he'll be talking to RFK Jr. on the phone, and he'll be talking about how he doesn't really believe in vaccines or the way they are, right? Like, well, why did you do Operation Warp Speed then? Well, because that's what everyone wanted, and I just want to show I'm better than everyone else, right? I do it faster. I just want to brag. Hey, what's wrong? Blah, 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 right? And you guys fall for that shit over and over again. It's pathetic. Like he just said something no one else said, and he completely got away with it. Like I didn't even know. This is years ago. It's like 2018 or something. I just found the longest video. Like you can find it's from 6 years ago. Full President Trump and lawmakers discuss gun law changes, and it's an hour and 2 minutes long. This is the full version. It has all that stuff in there, right? It's a bipartisan. It's a bipartisan, panel of people that they're doing for propaganda, and Trump is all about it. Trump's all about gun grabbing, and Dianne Feinstein's having a ghoulgasm. I said all this stuff in the other video, right? Like the whole thing was. I was like, wow, he's really just not the person that his voters think he is. I thought that when I first saw it years ago. Like it was 6 years, and I just saw. I never had a very brief memory of the thing, right? But it's there, and Trump did it, and he's he's that guy, and he's, and it's just because he doesn't have any beliefs, just like Kamala. They're not people that believe in something. They don't have a dogma. They don't have a religion. Like Kamala and Trump don't, like, you don't really know what their religion is. I mean, Trump tried to sell you a Bible, but he never talks about God. He never talks about Jesus, right? Neither does Kamala, right? Kamala's mom was a Hindu, and she was raised a Hindu, but apparently went to Baptist church as well. And she was married to a Jewish guy, and they celebrate Jewish holidays. And they don't really, maybe they kind of believe in God, but they never talk about it, right? If they talk about it, they only talk about it to pander to people, to show that they're God-fearing people like you are. I'm just like you are, but they're not, right? Because they don't have beliefs. Kamala's not a liberal. She's not a communist. She's not anything, right? She's all over the place, and I'll get into that in a moment. Both of them, they jump all over the place because they only care about self-promotion, and they care what's best for them, and so they don't have any beliefs or opinions, any kind of moral compass and framework for any of this stuff. I mean, they're almost like identical in this one area, which is a big area to be, to have something like that, because they don't feel strongly about anything. They have these stories of why they do what they do, and who they are, what are the things that molded them, and who are the Kamala's mom saying to her, "Don't come to me with a problem and complaining. What are you going to do about it?" Right? Like, yeah, that's that's nice to hear, but that has no bearing on who you are as a person. It's just some made up bullshit that you said, at a convention, to make it about all these things, right? I mean, Kamala talked about her mom being a brown woman, but she never once mentioned she's an Indian, right? And Indians, if you grew up in an Indian household, you're an Indian. Like, I've seen it. I've been around them, right? These Indian families that do my meditation in America, and they still are living Indian lives in America, and with the Indian stuff and the decorations and the music and the food and the clothing and the whole, everything. They teach their kids. I mean, every immigrant teaches their kids what life was like for them in their homeland, right? The moms still teach to make the food from the country of their wherever they've immigrated from, right? I mean, it. Like you have. My parents were second generation immigrants, but their parents, still did the things from their homelands, right? And that's what's Kamala's mom, and she grew up with that. I mean, Kamala had just been in America like 4 or 5 years before Kamala's mom before having her. She's just come from India, and so Kamala's just ignoring her Indian heritage. I mean, she doesn't say anything about it. I got a little clip to show you about that, right? We'll get to that in a bit. That, there's an Indian guy making fun of her because of it. But these guys don't believe in anything. That's the point here. That's the point of this video. Okay, so I got a bunch of new stuff to get to with Kamala, right? There's Dougie Fresh. Look at Dougie Fresh blowing a kiss to his wonderful wife. And his daughter with a tattoo there, whatever. This is an old video. I'm just taping this while I watch the old video. But anyways, I got new stuff to get to. But I want to show you the new editions of this performative political theater thing. Kamala's done it now. I'll show you the Kamala thing. I showed you that in a recent video. And then the new one with Trump that I haven't showed you. And then the other one with the other two with Tim Walz and Trump that I showed you before. Now I'm going to redo the whole compilation, and then I'm going to show you the other stuff. Obama was sort of the originator of this thing. And so I'm going to put that whole compilation in afterwards. So, if you've seen it before, then just fast forward till you see this image with Kamala here, and that'll be the image that shows you that the compilation's over. But, the new thing with Trump, if you haven't seen it, again, is just recognizing that they just fakers, right? They'll fake anything. And so if they're going to fake this, then, Trump will fake the year thing, and, they're not sincere. What I was saying earlier, they're trying to get you to trust a candidate. You're not going to read the fine print, and you're not going to read their, even their political platform, no matter what they put out as their political platform. There's no guarantee they're even going to try to, they're more than likely not going to try to get it passed, right? And so you're trusting that they'll do the right thing. You're voting for a person, you're hiring a person, and you're trusting that person. And these people are untrustworthy. They're playing you all the time. And they're pandering to people in all kinds of weird ways. We'll get into Kamala. The stuff she does doesn't even make sense. I got the Catholic Church thing that I'm going to show you. That's the first new thing I'm going to show you in a second after the compilation here. But anyways, let's get into it here. So I just happened to be editing and listening and reading my comments. And one of my viewers, this is where the comment's really helpful, says Kamala did well, she was in Milwaukee, right? So this, I'm editing this thing where she's giving this, this speech from Milwaukee to the DNC. And she's in Trump's, where Trump had his, rally. And they have all the freedom signs, right? These freedom signs they're handing out. These are the words they want to associate with her: freedom, joy, and then she's a protector, and these things, right? These other words. But freedom and joy, and some of these other things I've already forgotten. But here it is. She did it. She took the plunge here.
And that is how we fulfilled the promise of America. The promise of America.
So this is from Forbes' YouTube channel, and they just have all these glitches all the time. I mean, it makes no sense, but they have them. I don't know why.
And it is that promise of America.
Wait, what?
We need a medical assistant here.
Oh, man, she just saw it. She just happened to see. Well, it's amazing how these politicians, it's like they have spidey sense. These politicians and their spidey sense.
Okay. We need a nurse. We need a medic here, please.
Someone get a medic?
Let's make a path. Let's make a path if y'all don't mind.
Look at her take control. Man, she's good at this.
Path to right here. Let's just create a path to right here.
Forbes has been covering this, right? With now, Trump did it, and then Walz did it twice, and now Kamala's doing it. While she's, this is a big event, right? This is like while the DNC is going on, and she's going to fly to the DNC. Her husband's giving a speech tonight. I'm editing. It's Thursday. She's going to give the speech tonight. I'm editing. This it's Thursday, but this happened on Tuesday, and then I'm going to cover the stuff that happened on Wednesday today. This video is going to hopefully go up tonight. But this is like a big, big time for her, and they rolled out this fake shit, right?
Let's create a path, guys, and thanks for looking out each other. Look out for each other, but let's create.
That's what Doug. That's what Walz said, right? The neighbors look out for each other, right?
Out for the medics. Okay.
Woo!
You okay? Okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
We are. We're gonna be okay. See, I'm handling things. I'm compassionate. See, this is everything gets thrown out the window because Trump did the same stuff. When you pull fake shit like this, right? You no longer have any legitimacy when you do things like that. When you have stage shills in the audience to make you look good, then you're not good, right? You're just performative. You're not a good person. You're scripting something to make yourself look like you're a good person, a good leader. And you guys see in my video, I'll add this to it at the end of it, but you throw out any claims of being legitimate when you do shit like this, right? A completely staged, false, rehearsed thing.
All right.
Woo! Look at her.
Okay. You'll be okay. This is who we are, right? This is what we're about, looking out for each other. The thing.
Yeah, exactly. It just worked out right there, an event right at this rally that shows you who we are. How we labor looking out for neighbor.
We care about each other.
We care about each other, exactly. See how caring I am? Look at how effing caring I am. I'm the most caring person in the world. I'm the most compassionate.
Truly understanding what love thy neighbor means.
Oh, she's bringing in a Bible quote. I've been talking about her.
About in the face of a perfect stranger, seeing a neighbor, understanding what that love of each other means.
Well, it's just great that, something that you're highlighting as part of your Walz campaign thing and all this stuff that you're doing. And you just delivered. Boom, kaboom, kaboom. Bring it, Kamala. I didn't believe before. Now I'm a true believer that you're fake as F, right? Okay, so Forbes has documented these events with Trump, Kamala Harris, and with Tim Walz. Dramatic moment. Donald Trump checks on rally goer who suffered medical issue during campaign event. Now, they don't call BS. They should. Obviously, it's BS. But they just say this other stuff here. Now, they've documented this twice from Trump. The most recent one was August 21st. Today is August 28th, so 7 days ago. And this was, at a recent rally here.
But the worst is that
So this is the first time where you can audibly hear the audience members calling for a medic, which they've been trained to do, right? This is, they've seen this. Now it's a normal thing for people to pass out at one of these rallies and for them to call medic and for the candidate to make a big deal about it. So there's two new things that Trump does here. This is the first thing.
what's wrong?
Wow, he's so concerned.
Oh. A doctor, please.
So Trump's signature move, Obama asked for water. Trump always asked for a doctor. Is there a doctor? What about a doctor? We got a doctor. Who's a doctor?
It is very hot here. I noticed.
It's the heat. It's so hot out there. I know it's the heat. This person, what if they're having a heart attack? No, it's the heat. It's hot out here. It's so hot. It's hot out here.
It's very hot. And a lot of the people waited for days to get here, so.
They've waited for days. Days, I tells you. They've been out there for days waiting to see me. They love me so much. Me, 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 me. They've been waiting for days.
I understand it. Take your time, doctor.
That's another signature move of his.
Take your time. Thank you.
He just, take your time, doctor. You don't have to rush on my account. Trump, love you. Love you, Trump. Love you, Trump, Trump, Trump. The best, Trump. You're so good. You're so compassionate. When the Democrats do this, it's fake. But when you do it, it's real, Trump.
Yeah. Take your time, please.
Plus, he's got he's got glass here. He's got some bulletproof glass there now because you don't want to have any imaginary bullets stop hit him. Now he's going out. Now, this is a new move. This is Trump's new signature move. Woo! He's going right on the crowd. He's going right out there. And so, like this, we haven't seen this before. Trump has broken new ground in terms of being an actor. He's going right to the woman in question, person. He's going to show his compassion and what a caring person he is. Look at him go. Look at him applaud him. Look at him go. Good way to go, Trump. Go out there. Show him you can take care of people. His video go viral and everyone think you're a real person. You're real good at it. Look at him. This is classic Trump, right? Like he's just, taking it to a new... Good thing the person's in the front row so you could get over to him. It's wonderful that this person had this attack at the front row. We love Trump. We love Trump. Trump we love. Trump's the best. Go hide behind your protective glass for his fake bullets hit you. Look out for the fake bullets. They could be anywhere. There's some over there. There's one over there. Over the place.
Thank you very much. They come 2 days, 3 days early, and it's a lot of stress.
3 days early. It gets more each time, because they love him so much. So much stress out there. They come a month early. They walk through a desert and.
The only ones we don't lose are front row Joes. I don't know what they have going.
These guys aren't
They
even
have
human.
something going here, Governor.
Like everyone else passes out, but not these. Everyone else is pansies.
Thank
but
you
these
very
guys,
much.
front row
Thanks,
Joes, don't
doctor.
do that. Thanks, Doc. Good job on the good job.
But America's blessed with the greatest military in the world, but our men...
Okay, so that's Trump.
I didn't. Kamala will not answer for her record of failure and weakness.
She won't do it. She just won't do it. This is the previous time, right? So this is.
A doctor, please. Doctor in the house. Thank you. Thank
Is
you
there a
very
doctor
much.
in the house? Is there a freaking doctor in
Thank
the
you.
house?
Take your time.
Take your time, Doc. It's another signature.
Take your
move.
time, Doc.
It's not
Thank
like
you
I'm
very
impatient
much.
or anything.
Thank
No.
you.
So this is from August 9th, 2024. So he did this before the convention with Kamala, and then this other one that was happened right after. And so I guess he did one during the convention, the DNC.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. Woo!
We love these people. They wait for 2 days sometimes, and then it's tough. It's not easy.
Exactly. They walk across the Sahara Desert, and they swim an ocean. They're like triathletes, and then they sit here. They get here a month in advance because they just love me so much. They can't miss me. They would never. They would never just like not be able to come see me. This is Trump's signature aspect of it, like I said, because he needs to be loved, right? So him saying, "Oh, these people are waiting days in the, like it's like they're waiting for the new iPhone to be released or whatever." Remember that like lines people formed. They're in line for days trying to get into the rally because they're turning away people. It's a full house and they're turning away people. So Trump like loves to be loved, loves to be wanted, loves to be, all these things. This cult-like thing that he has. So that's his signature move, right? Asking for a doctor because that's what a rich guy does. Like he's going to offer water. Trump's not going to serve anybody. He's not going to hand waters out like Obama.
Are they okay? Thank you very much.
Who's
And doctor,
they? Is it more than one? What's happening?
take
out
your
there?
time. Good. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you.
Take your time, doctor. I'm not impatient. Like no one thinks I'm an impatient guy. Like no one's ever called me impatient before. So this is Tim Walsh.
Freedom. Can we get somebody to help?
Somebody?
Hot.
They're hot over there.
Somebody's hot. Can we get
Somebody's hot. I can just tell they're hot over there. They must be hot. Therefore, they need help because they're hot.
somebody to help? You okay?
You're right over there?
Drink some water, folks. It is hot out.
Yeah, water. That's
Somebody else.
This is usually the Obama way. Obama was always big on the water.
Thank you.
Governor. Look at him. Look how concerned he is.
Water?
Look at the guy. Look at his face. He's so concerned. They're so weird. They're so weird.
You okay?
Are they okay? What's going on? They're okay? What's going on? What's happening here? What's happening? So this is August 7th, 2 days before Trump.
Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you all for helping. Grateful.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you all. Take care of one another on this. This is why we gather. Look, it's hot. It is hot. I'll come again. They've got folks here. We'll make sure we're okay. But I
Okay, so their signature move, Kamala did the same thing, was to ask if the neighbors, talk about neighbors, how we're good neighbors, and that we take care of each other and everyone belongs and we really just love each other and the Republicans are trying to deny us, but we're just really good neighbors.
have to tell you all again, in all seriousness, to come and gather like this, to talk about our freedoms, the ability to talk about what could be good. And I have to say, this idea of caring for our neighbor and kindness and a hand up when somebody needs it, or just the sense of that people go through things and to be able to be there when they need it, that's who we are. It's not about mocking. It's not name callings.
What do you mean? They're just calling you weird. They're just chanting weird because you have been calling the Republicans weird over and over again, right? Like they tried to push this neighborhood thing, and we're all just good neighbors. And this is Coach Walls, and he's a good neighbor. And he'll get out and he'll push you out of a snowbank. but he was, he's the guy that's been calling him weird, right? There was this compilation. I showed you this. They mocked this phone call between Walsh and Kamala Harris. It's really well done, and they do a compilation of his weird sayings here.
To accuse Trump and J.D. Vance of being weird. Just say it over and over again.
Weird, 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 weird. And then they start being weird. They're weird, 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 weird. Donald Trump's weirdness. Very weird, weird. It's just too weird. It's weird, weird. Okay, so how far left are we at?
You see it amongst them.
Look how concerned he is. Look at him. Look how concerned he is. Then watch him applaud. Yay.
Yay.
Look at his weird applause. Like he just doesn't even know how to clap. What a strange MNFer, right? So this is the same day, but in Michigan. So he had two people pass out, one in Michigan, one in Wisconsin.
Thank you.
That one has the thing, when we vote, we win.
A big thank you to Adam. I think we can all agree our future's pretty bright. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. So it used to be when we fight, we win, but now it's when we vote, we win, right?
And hello, Michigan.
So he's so weird. He's a strange guy. For a guy who's calling other people weird, his idiosyncratic behaviors.
We Minnesotans, you probably know this. We're a stoic.
We're stoic people. We're stoic over there. We're pretty stoic in Minnesota. We're known as being stoic people. And so, I mean, this is a strange one, but they do it at the beginning, right? Someone else gave a talk, and so they don't have to.
People, a few words.
They put their shills
holy
at
hell,
the
can you
audience
throw a party
early,
here
to
in
get them going
Michigan?
early.
Wow. I want to take a moment to acknowledge a few friends, folks that I've gotten to know, and let's be very clear. This is someone who I consider my dearest friend, and someone who taught all the other governors how to fix the damn roads.
Is it Whitmer? Governor Whitmer. It's Whitmer. Governor Whitmer. Whitmer's great.
You have got a treasure in Michigan.
Yeah, you do.
And I'll tell you what, we share a lot between us in the upper Midwest.
Here it is. Here it is. Oh, oh.
Oh, we need some water. We have somebody down.
Is it
We
water?
need some water.
Is it water over there? So who's got water?
Medic. We need a medic.
Is there a medic?
Right here. You got somebody here? You got him? All right, we got a medic on the way.
Medic. They need a medic.
Thank you for caring for your neighbors. Thank you for showing what Michigan does.
Okay, so again with the neighbors thing, their pitch. So they did that in the same day. That was like the same day. Anyways, here's the full compilation. This is, what happened before with Trump and with Biden and all the rest of them here, Obama. So let's show you that here. Okay, so I decided to re-put together my original compilation because it'll be better quality. I have better equipment. It'll just be better. But this is a compilation of this political stunt, and you can see it's a stunt because it's done over and over again. At the end, I'll explain how and why it happened. But this is the compilation. Let's start here with Obama. He did it a lot, and he sort of perfected it.
I'm sorry, what's going on? Somebody's not feeling good? All right. Why don't we have, we can get our doctors back there to help out. Somebody want to go to my doctor's office and just have them? All right. Where was I? Can somebody help out, please, and get Doc Jackson in here? Somebody grabbing our doctor?
Thank you, Mr. President, for stopping.
Of course. In the meantime, just give her a little room.
So there's a command of the room, right? There's a being compassionate.
You guys know where the doctor's office is? Just go through the palm doors. It's right next to the map room. There he is. All right, there's Doc Jackson. He's all right.
But this is a more famous one. There was a young woman behind him who's pregnant, no less.
That one illness. There you go. You okay? I'm right here. I got you.
He saves her.
No, you're okay. This happens when I talk too long.
Makes a joke.
Why don't you go? You got it? Come on.
Woo, you're such a great guy. Woo. Woo. What a leader.
Good catch, by the way.
Good catch, he says. Want to let you know, the woman, you heard the applause, she's okay. Her name
She's
is
okay. Obama saved her. She's okay. Bill Clinton started this.
The banks have $1.8 trillion in cash. We got plenty of money to put this country to work. We need a doctor here. This lady fainted in the heat.
It's diagnosing her, taking control.
Let's give her some water. It's hot out here.
Water. That's a big thing. Water's a big thing, they say.
Is there a doctor here? All right, we got a doctor. There's nothing the rest of you can do, so pay attention to me. You'll just get in the way. She'll be fine. Believe me, at my age, it's
She didn't have a cardiac arrest or just, anything like that. She'll be fine.
rarely does a lady faint on me.
Trump got into the action several times.
Is there a doctor in the house, please? Doctor?
Is there a doctor anywhere? Doctor?
Doctor, please. We have plenty of time, right? That's fine. Take your time.
So they start singing Amazing Grace. Look at him. Look at this dork. Look at this fish boy having effer. Pathetic fish boy.
You don't need, Mr. President, you don't need North Carolina, the 9th District. You got someone, all right. Got someone heated over here. Give them some space.
A doctor in the house, please. Doctor, please.
Look at him take control. Look at him. He's such a compassionate, take control guy.
Doctor in the house, thank you.
Is there a doctor? Doctor in the house? Get him some water.
Hatred in our heart. Could we have a doctor, please? A doctor. A doctor, please. Thank you. A doctor, thank you. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. It is about 100 degrees in here, folks, so.
It's so hot. It's just hot and people are passing out left and right.
It's about rallying when things go wrong. She's okay. It's okay. That happens to a lot of people who have to stand up for a long time.
Standing up. If you have to stand up for a long time, you fade. It's just fact.
We need one of our medics here. We've
Medics?
got a young girl who fainted. But it happens all the time. She's going to be okay. Sometimes standing up. If anybody is starting to feel tired, standing up, bend your knees and eat your breakfast and lunch. You okay? Make sure she's okay too, right here. Right here. Everybody else feeling okay? Are y'all still fired up and ready to go? Are you?
There you go. Rick Santorum.
Country before government decided that it had to start taking from those. Oh. Sorry, we have someone who's, I think the heat has got to them. So make sure if there's any emergency personnel that can get here, I want to make sure that this person gets some help.
Taking control. Being compassionate.
Hand that down.
Give water. Give a water bottle.
You okay? Just tell us he's okay.
Right here.
Give him a chair. Get a water bottle and a chair. They just happen to have a chair and a water bottle there. Go in the audience. Make sure she's okay. This is, yeah, it's not staged at all. This is just, it just happens. Woo! So compassionate. Such a good guy.
I am struck by how many young people. There's somebody fainted.
Did somebody faint?
Somebody fainted over there.
Over there, did somebody faint?
Can we get them some water, some help?
Water and some help, a doctor perhaps?
Okay. Get somebody over there. So let me know if you need any. Is there somebody here who can help? We want to make sure that we take care of the lady who fainted.
Woo.
I thought it was the talk of Republicans that might have done it.
Good joke. So there's always a thing, right? There's a joke. It's too hot. Happens. Person's going to be okay. Get him some water. Get him a doctor. So here's 3 more times Obama. And so that's a total of 5 I found right off the bat. There's probably many more out there.
Good to be back in New Hampshire. Oh, okay. We'll be all right. They probably were just standing too long. Just give them a little space.
They'll be all right, reassuring you, and then telling you what happened. They're probably just standing too long, so they decided to pass out. You know, I mean, when you're standing forever, eventually you're just going to pass out. That's what happens. Everyone has a certain level of time, and especially if it's hot, you stand and then you pass out.
Where's our EMS folks?
Get the doctor.
They'll be okay. Just give them a little space.
Give them space. That's space.
This happens sometimes. You guys been here a while after the magging? Well, no, you have to eat ahead of time.
You got to eat. You got to eat some food.
Keep your blood sugar up.
Boom. Keep your blood sugar up.
We got somebody over there? Jordan? Right in the middle. Here we go. Here's our guy.
Boom. He looks a little bit like deer in headlights, like Jojo Magoo.
I'm sorry, what's going on? Somebody's not feeling good?
Does not feel somebody.
All right. Why don't we have, we can get our doctors back there to help out. Somebody want to go to my doctor's office and just
taking control here.
Like somebody might have fainted up here. If we got some of the EMS,
somebody fainted.
Buddy, don't worry about. Folks do this all the time.
They do it all the time. I know. They just didn't die. They just didn't have cardiac arrest. They didn't have a heart attack. They didn't have a stroke. Just it happens. They're going to be fine.
Meetings. I mean, you always got to eat before you stand for a long time. That's a little tip, but they'll be okay. Just make sure that give them a little room.
You know, clear it out. 6 feet of space. Leave them in the middle, laying on the floor. They'll be fine.
All right, everybody all right?
Everybody all right. Let's get going again. I don't want to rush things. We're in no rush. Take our time. Let's make sure everyone knows how compassionate and great I am.
And they're the men's champs. Folks, it's okay. Forget. Want some water?
Want some water? No, you're going to throw it. She's way over here. Just throw the water bottle at her. But then he just sort of loses it. Like he's just lost focus here. Like he's just so clueless. And so, like, maybe he thinks it's a staged event, but he's not sure. He's not in on it. Because usually he would offer water. And you're supposed to take command of the room. And Jojo Magoo just sucks so much worse than all the rest of them, right? Just shows you how incompetent. Like, he can't even pull this staged I mean, this posing, these posers, you can't even pull this off. So this happened probably organically at an event. And then they saw it hit. It was a big hit. It made the person look like they were in control. Oftentimes it was when they were talking about healthcare. If you see the full speeches, healthcare was involved. There's probably I've seen probably 10 or more of Obama doing it. You see Trump's done at least 3 times, probably more. There's a couple more with Hillary. And the first person I know who did it was Clinton. But there's other politicians, I'm forgetting them, I think. And, there's just been all these different, it's a thing they do. And it shows the person being compassionate. It shows them being competent, right? And just looking at the bigger picture, humanizing them, taking control, right? You hear the people applauding. The Obama one where the woman fainted right behind him, and he turned around to catch her, that was the creme de la creme. But it's just political theater, and it's just so bad, right? It shows you just how fake it is. And you can say, well, Trump, they're all fake except for Trump's, right? And these are, people who are willing to pose and act. These are posers and actors, right? This is just posturing and posing. And it's something they do to fool you, the audience member, into believing something about them that isn't true. That they care about you, and they don't, right? It's just a bunch of posers. So today's Thursday, August 29th. I finished this video yesterday. I was going to upload it, but I decided to leave it open and not render it, just in case something happened. Something did happen, kind of, a little bit. J.D. Vance, flubbed one of these sort of things as well. Let me just show you this. It's not nearly as good. And Forbes dropped this dramatic moment. J.D. Vance pauses Pennsylvania rally when Secret Service agent faints or something.
To Brian Kemp, and I'm proud to be among them. I think he's been a good governor for the state of Georgia. I certainly gave him a phone call. I think 150 other people have given Brian Kemp a phone call and talked about the need to have a unified Republican team. I don't take any special credit for it. I think a lot of people deserve more credit than I do, including the President of the United States, because I think President Trump has been very, very aggressive.
Wait, what's happening? What's happening? What's up? Something happened over there? Is he okay? My dog's looking at me. It's all right, you guys. Just give the thumbs up. Woo, clap.
It's so human in here. I thought we lost one of our Secret Service agents. I was worried about him, but we're good. God bless you, man. Glad you're okay.
He sucks at it. He's just so weird about everything. That's why are you applauding?
But look, the media, here's what the media wants to tell a story that somehow I have been the peace broker between Brian Kemp and Donald Trump. It's just not true. I reached out to Brian Kemp. I encouraged him to support the president, and he didn't take much persuasion. He wanted to support the
You're not getting him a medic or whatever. And so, does he not know that they do this? It's fake, as he's
president, because he thinks Kamala Harris is going to be a disaster. So I think there are a lot of friends. There are a lot of friends of Brian Kemp's and a lot of friends of the president's. I think.
Okay, so that was that, right? So he sucks at that, even worse than everybody else. That was just it seemed more impromptu than the other ones. That's a stage shill. But either way, he just everything is just strange about the guy. Okay, so that's that. I want to move on to this stuff here with Kamala and the Catholic Church, and then something just came in about J.D. Vance and RFK Jr., a bunch of stuff, right? But while I was doing this comment popped up on my phone. Paul, has it occurred to you that both sides are controlled? What the fuck are you watching, right? Do you not watch any content on my channel and you just go by the titles, but you're that oblivious to my position? Why would anybody possibly say this? I mean, I don't think this person is a long-time viewer. I think they got a little red thing on the that indicates subscribed to you for 8 years. This person's been subscribed to me for 8 years. There's a little red emoji thing. There's a purple one that says the person comments a lot, and that person doesn't have this, but I've seen this person's name before, right? Paul, has it occurred to you that both sides are controlled? They work together to lead us. Why do you insist that this is a real fight between two sides? It doesn't matter because the real controllers already know the outcome. I'm not sure how this could possibly be, right? And the person beneath it said, pretty sure that's his message the whole time. Both sides are controlled by the owners, unless I missed something. You must be new here. Paul is not a believer in the system, nor does he believe one side is better than the other. I've been a follower for well over a decade and never said the policies is anything more than theater and, these things. Theater and leaders all being controlled. That's why I call them controllers. It boggles the mind. And like I said, this person's commented before and has been subscribed for 8 years. I don't remember any of the other previous comments, but I don't know. I don't know how this comment could exist. This is a legitimate comment, right? You'd think it'd be a practical joke or the person be trolling, it'd be one thing, but that's not the case, right? Looking for attention or whatever. It's pathetic, right? How is this possible? How is this possible that could be your conclusion? So anyways, let's go to the Kamala thing here. So this is a bizarre story. Because why would Kamala Harris do this when everything she stands for is against this, right? And so this one is the National Catholic Registry. Clergy sex abuse victim cries foul over how Kamala Harris treated him 2 decades ago. Joe Piscatelli, I'll show you this guy in a second, told the Register during the 7-year period Harris served as San Francisco's district attorney, she repeatedly declined his request to release relevant documents and to meet with him because he was abused by a priest when he was in high school. And they had this thing ready to go, right? And she campaigned on being someone that was going to go after these types of people. In fact, her very statement at the convention was she had a friend who was abused, and that's why she went to be a prosecutor in the first place. And they put her out as a protector, right? And she's a person that should have anti-Catholic bias. She should be somebody who's anti-Catholic, at least in terms of the conservative aspect of it. And liberals are big about going after and punishing pedo priests. And so why would she do this? I'll get into that in a moment. Some advocates for victims say she didn't help them when they could have, particularly during a 7-year period when she had control of the personal files of Catholic priests accused of sex crimes. And so she covered up for them and blocked them from being prosecuted. And this is supposed to be her thing, right? Kamala Harris refused to assist victims of Catholic child church sex abuse. And this is from the Associated Press. Victims question Kamala Harris's record on clergy abuse. And so where this thing gets weirder, or what weird in the first place, is when you search Kamala Harris and Catholic Church, the first one comes up, VP Harris called out for alleged anti-Catholic bias.
It's not just concerns over Harris's pro-abortion stance that have been voiced. Lee Snead, fellow at the Catholic Association and contributor to the National Catholic Register, just wrote an article on what she calls Harris's anti-Catholic bias in the National Review.
So there's an article about her anti-Catholic bias, right? Anti-Catholic bias. And there's multiple things here, right? Anti-Catholic bigotry, right? GOP Senator accuses Kamala Harris of anti-Catholic bigotry. But she protected these pedophile priests. So why would she do that? I could see her being a Catholic bigot. Like Catholics and Catholicism and religion are kind of on the other side of liberalism, right? And so she was always pandering to liberals. Again, this is in San Francisco. Why would San Francisco have any problem, the majority of people that live there in that area have any problem with her going after Catholic priests, right? It just doesn't make sense. I was talking about this with my wife. The only thing you could say is they paid her off some way. They either had something on her or they paid her off, because this was part of the profile, the brand she was trying to build, right? So this is a kind of interesting video here. The Intercept. At San Francisco DA Kamala Harris office stopped cooperating with victims of clergy abuse. So it starts off here.
Career has been based on an understanding, one, that as a prosecutor, my duty was to seek and make sure that the most vulnerable and voiceless among us are protected.
So this is this guy, Joe Piscatelli, right? Italian guy.
We went with another victim to Terrence Hallinan's office, the DA's office in San Francisco. And we were introduced to Helen Ann and another DA's assistant, who told us they virtually had all these boxes, about like a room full of files that they had gathered and collected and subpoenaed from the Diocese of San Francisco on all these.
So this is the previous guy, right? So this guy is building a case. The guy who was the district attorney of San Francisco was building a case against the Catholic Church, right?
Bishop Levada at that time was the highest ranking bishop in the United States. Then he became cardinal. So this was the top guy. This was the kingpin in the United States. And we had a champion here that was going to go after him.
So he had this guy who was going to go after him. And then Kamala Harris stepped in.
Accessibility to the file, I didn't get any response. So then we made posters and started putting them all over the city. And we got no response. Several media members were also asking for...
So this guy, Kamala Harris, inherited a box full of files, right? About these priests, these pedophile priests. She was somebody who, in her, I mean, we all know she's fake, but, this is a woman, like when she had a friend who was molested, a woman molested by a man. She had she built her whole career. She wanted to become a lawyer and a prosecutor in that moment and go after people like that. And she's talked about being a protector. That was part of the lines they were using. One of the segments was called a protector, right? The other one was some other champion, whatever it was, right? Like that she was going to be a fighter for people who are abused. And she's been, as a district attorney, she's going to go after these criminals and people like this. And there was no reason for her not to go after the Catholic Church politically. I mean, it made sense for her to actually do it. And the previous guy had said her, put this, had the case ready to go. He had all this information, and they were hiding the file. It wasn't like they were just blocking the case moving forward. They weren't giving these people access to the files. This guy was an abused person, right?
Files and stuff, and they were getting nothing. So in 2010, there was a big article in San Francisco Weekly, and they were pestering her office. And then what they got was this false statement that they were protecting victims. It's just a flat-out insult. She could have redacted the names, blacked out the names and left them out. Everything he did to gather information and to try and prosecute and go after them disappeared and went the other way. He shielded and protected them, and we were floored at what happened.
Yeah, we're not floored because we know what kind of person Kamala is. So this is bizarro world. Again, like I can understand why she would have a Catholic bias. I can't understand why she would protect pedophile priests politically, right? In terms of her brand. And she did it. Like she did this shit. Like these were media articles in local San Francisco papers, California papers. And this guy, I mean, the whole video, he goes into the details of what the priest did to him. I mean, it's like, it's a very graphic video, and it's pretty brutal. Like, this is brutal stuff. It's classic, Kamala Harris, because she got a deal. Like, as long as she gets a deal, whatever Catholic Church did, so she blocked this from happening, she did it. Like, she got, this is probably why she's president, because she's willing to do stuff like this, right? She's willing to stand up for powerful organizations. And she's a complete shill, and so she'll, she doesn't care about anybody. Trump's the same way, so don't be like, Trump's better. But this is like who they are, right? They have no dogma. They have no moral compass. They have nothing. She got paid off, or she got some kind of deal with the Catholic Church, and she just refused to push this thing forward. But then, to add to this, somebody sent me this Instagram video yesterday.
The power I have as a prosecutor is that with a swipe of my pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus. All because with the swipe of my pen, I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later. It's an incredible amount of power. The power I have.
This is clearly taken out of context, right? I'm going to cover this more as we move forward because there's an RFK Jr. quote that's so taken out of context because it makes no sense by itself, right? Like they took something out of a tweet and they're using it against J.D. Vance. And then, of course, I got the Zuckerberg thing coming here with the, with the censorship. I'm going to cover that a little bit more. But this is clearly taken out of context. Kamala Harris was probably talking about, whatever she was saying here. Maybe there's too much power, or maybe, just something to be aware of. But the way she says it, she's also bragging, like she's feeling herself, right? And so, like, both things are true here. But I like to see the whole. I don't have to see the whole thing to know that she was probably going somewhere else with that, right? And they just edited out this one part to make it sound like she was a maniacal, despot who was just consumed with her power, which is, a little bit the case. But we now know, based in this other story that was documented by local media, that the previous district attorney in San Francisco, was ready to prosecute the Catholic Church, which it's already been established that there's pedo priests and the Catholic Church has covered it up. And this is a global problem, right? So I know some victims in Ireland that were abused by priests, right? And this is very graphic abuse, and it's the worst kind of abuse because, like, this guy was really into being a Catholic, this Italian guy that was talking about this. And he was, having interaction with priests because he wanted to learn more about God and Jesus and the Catholic religion. And this guy abused him. And nobody believed him because it was a priest, so it was a whole thing. This is years ago, right? And so, it does damage to people's belief in God. Like, it's one thing to be a pedo, but if you're just a scumbag or like a devil worshiper, well, that's one thing. But if you're like a clergy where you're somebody who's trusted and you're a person that's supposed to represent God or be a godly person, and people are going to you because you're somehow going to help them with their spiritual life, and you sexually abuse them, then you're representing God to that person, and it destroys their faith, right? And why God didn't protect them, and why God has these people working for him, and all these things, right? And this is a problem with religions and all that, and when it goes south like that. But when you represent God, there's you have to have a standard of you might not be like nice all the time, and you might have your human moments, but you can't be screwing people over and deceiving them, and you can't be abusing them as kids. Like, that's the worst of the worst. And Kamala decided to use the power of her pen and just say, I'm not going to do this, and not pursue this case, which could have been a huge case in terms of boosting her credibility. So there was a reason for it. Whatever Kamala got out of this, there was a reason for it. It wasn't because she was doing justice. It wasn't because she was a protector. It was because it was best for Kamala. There's a story behind the reasoning why she decided to kill this case. And again, it has nothing to do with the rule of law, her being a good person, or her defending victims, or any of these things. Because she's just a scumbag, and this is how she rolls. Like, she'll get in bed with these pedo priests if it suits her. They give her some money, or whatever happened here. Whatever she benefited from, she got something out of this, right? But then this weird thing happened here with J.D. Vance.
The big news yesterday.
Very big news.
He suspended his campaign, announced he's endorsing Donald Trump. He is also known as someone who has blamed vaccines for autism, antidepressants for school shootings, and recently...
Well, antidepressants can cause... Well, we know antidepressants have a lot of side effects, right? So are you denying what the pharmaceutical companies say about their own medications, right? Antidepressants have all these side effects that are, obviously could contribute to something like that, right? Because they themselves, the pharmaceutical companies, list their, side effects.
Recently said, quote, he won't take sides on what happened on 9/11. Do you have any hesitation?
So that's the quote that I was going to get to, about this thing with Kamala I just covered, when they take something completely out of context. So what does that even mean, take sides? So, and the way J.D. Vance is going to take it here,
about accepting his endorsement?
No, Kristen, I don't, because we're going to disagree on issues, right? There are things that
There's just something wrong about this guy, right? This is the problem here, his face. I don't know if he has eyeliner or just weird. I don't know what's going on here, right? Like, it doesn't appear like he has eyeliner in this picture. Maybe he's taking it off, but, he has, I don't know, it's like sunken eyes. I mean, it's like he's wearing a mask. It's like, there's something, like when you look at his face, you're like, what's wrong with his face? Like when you see people with plastic surgery and, people with whatever it is, something isn't right.
that Robert Kennedy has said that I disagree with. I'm sure there are things that he said, or that I've said, that he's going to disagree with. But I think what his endorsement represents is that Donald J. Trump's Republican Party is a big tent party. I was raised by two grandparents who are sort of classic blue dog Democrats. They believed in having a border. They believed that you shouldn't have censorship in the United States of America. They believed in common sense economic policies. They may have disagreed with Donald Trump about tax policy, but they believed in some fundamental American values. And I think what RFK's endorsement really shows is that the Kennedy Democrats are actually more at home in the Republican Party of Donald Trump. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris's party, higher prices, doing nothing to fight back against the Chinese, to say nothing of a wide open...
He just did it there. There was no eyeliner.
The Chinese to say nothing.
Maybe there is. Is that eyeliner? Is that, there's just something wrong with the guy's freaking face. It's not just the eyes, it's all of it, right? Like, it's just...
Nothing of a wide open border. That is not JFK's Democratic Party. It's not RFK's Democratic Party. We're thrilled to have the Kennedy Democrats where they belong.
Well,
let's go back to that right there. You can see it. So he's not wearing eyeliner there. And so there's people saying that he just has deep sunken eyes. But he's got a very sort of a feminine voice and his mannerisms. And, it's just like, it seems like somebody in a costume, right?
We're thrilled to have the Kennedy Democrats where they belong.
Well, and some in the Kennedy family have stepped forward to say that they sharply disagree with this endorsement. But let's just...
Yeah, those schools, I mean, Jesus. You've seen these people? like it's just, what's wrong with that genetic line?
Back very quickly, he says he isn't taking sides on 9/11. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, of course I don't agree with that, Kristen. Now, to be clear, I don't know...
Of course you don't. Of course you don't.
What RFK actually said there. Maybe there was additional context. Of course, you actually have to see what...
Of course there's additional context. That's not a quote, right? That is not a quote. Because there's got to be context to it, because we don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Does he mean that he's taken Al-Qaeda's side over America? Is he talking about the official story? Is he talking about conspiracy theories? What is he talking about? You can't quote that and say that's a responsible journalistic quote, right? You got to put that in context, right? There's a tweet. I'll read the tweet in a bit. But that's not, it's not, this is a problem with modern day journalism and then all the stuff on the internet. Like, people post things without putting it into context, and then they claim it means something else, even though they watched the whole thing. And they clip the part that is misleading, and they don't show the other part where the person's saying the exact opposite of what they're saying, right? Like, it's just, that's, if you're doing that, you're a piece of shit, just like everybody else. You're just you're like a mainstream media piece of shit. Every truther out there that takes things out of context to push a point, to push your crappy Trump candidate, mostly Trump or Kamala Harris or whatever it is, you're a piece of shit, right? You're lying. You're being deceptive. You think the other side's evil, so you're justified. It ends up getting caught anyway. You end up getting caught anyway and exposed, and you're misleading your followers, your people, your viewers, and you're just a lying piece of shit, right? Like, there's too many truthers that just do this kind of stuff. I said this before, I used to do it unthinkingly. I wasn't conscious of it when I was doing it. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, that's not cool, right? I mean, I knew I was like cherry picking data, so it was like I was conscious of that. But then I realized what I was doing. Like, you have to name what you're doing. You have to say exactly what you're doing. I'm taking something out of context that the person doesn't mean what I'm pretending they mean, and then I'm putting something on it to disparage them, knowing that if you listen to the whole statement, that what I'm saying is wrong. And you have to say that. You have to admit what you're doing. And you're doing it to your viewers. You're doing it to the, you know, I mean, just the fabric of reality. You're doing it to God. You know, you're just being a piece of shit, right?
People say before you agree or disagree with it. I certainly have taken sides in 9/11. I'm the pro-America side. I don't think that we should have...
You're a pro-America side, are you? Well, do big stance there. Why don't you go order some frickin' donuts? He's pro-America. Just FYI, this guy, when it comes to 9/11, he's pro-America.
attacked, and I certainly think hitting back against the terrorists was justified.
That's not what he was talking about, by the way.
Don't know what RFK said there, but what I do know is that RFK said a lot of very interesting and important things, that the Democratic Party has become too pro-censorship, that the Democratic Party, especially in the wake of COVID, became really anti-freedom and anti-child. I mean, you had Democrats saying that we should be masking toddlers in their schools, even though we knew it caused developmental disabilities. I agree with RFK that that was crazy.
Well, to be fair, there was a lot of information that scientists were grappling with.
So we're going to get to Mark Zuckerberg coming here, right? Where he's going to talk about how he was forced and censored about, you know, the stuff to do with COVID particularly, but all of it, right? And they failed completely. This is her being a piece of shit here, like I said earlier, because she's willing to take Kennedy out of context and, you know, this quote, but is not willing to, you know, she's covering for the scientific and the medical community that, you know, there's been so much information and things said, like Fauci has said, that, you know, they didn't really have any science to back social distancing. I mean, these things came out afterwards, right? Though that woman who was pushing, you know, she was a real shill for the medical community, that one doctor, and she said that cloth masks didn't work. They're little more than facial decorations. I have these. I'm not going to put the compilation in here because that's really not the subject matter. We're going after this other thing here. But we know that and, you know, Fauci later said, well, we went on the science we had at the time, but that's why we were wrong, because we didn't have enough science yet, right? We just had a little bit of science, and the science that we had said, do this, which is, again, not an accurate portrayal of what happened, right? But she's just dismissing all that, and it's cost, you know, suffering and lives and billions of dollars and billions of dollars. I mean, the whole thing, everything that they did, closing down the economy, the fear, the trauma, people suffered depression, all of it, right? Like, there's things that they need to answer for, and the Democrats are the ones that should answer for it. Like, Trump was completely worked. He failed completely. But the Democrats pushed for all this, and she's just covering for him here.
Came in and masks were perceived to stop the spread of the disease.
Masks were perceived? That's not science. What are you talking about? Masks were perceived. Masks were perceived? Well, it doesn't matter what they're perceived. That's a conspiracy theory. What are you talking about? They were perceived, right? You can't make an excuse based in perception. Like what?
Move on.
Totally.
And so all the people got censored because of that. Like you said something about masks, and you were given this whatever kind of, you know, I mean, it was just the censorship and all the rest of it, right? And like she's admitting to it. She's one of these called authoritative news that YouTube loves so much, right? And so like all the piece of shit that censored people, all the people that ratted people out, you know, all these things that happened, and Walsh is a big part of that. You went overboard, you were wrong, and people are pissed about it. And like the Democrats are running away from what they did, right? They don't want to even discuss it.
Fair.
Yeah.
But the one thing before we move on that I would say on that is there were important leaders. Donald Trump was among them. RFK was among them, who were saying some of this stuff is crazy.
Yeah, and Donald Trump wore a mask because they pressured him, and then he did Operation Warp Speed. So don't be a piece of shit. There's another piece of shit right here. Like he's lying about what Donald Trump did, then he shouldn't defend Operation Warp Speed, right? Like, because that was a disaster.
And if we had listened to them, I think our kids would have been much better off in the wake of the pandemic.
I mean, scientists did show that masks help to stop the spread of the disease. Let's talk about another.
Wait, what are you talking about? They showed that. How they show that?
Big issue.
Disabilities for toddlers, right? We have to be able to balance this stuff, and I think the way that RFK struck that balance was much smarter.
Okay, so I don't know where they stand on masks right now. Like I have no idea how that all played out or any of these things. But I do know they've come out and said, well, we didn't have the science, or we were wrong, or whatever, or we, you know, Fauci kept on saying, well, we did what was best was the science that we had at the time, which, you know, we know isn't true, right? There's a thing that masks do in terms of the psychological effect. It freaks you out because you think you're in an apocalyptic movie, right? And you couldn't see people's faces. It was dehumanizing to people, right? For me, it was hard for me to breathe. After I had COVID, I had like, sometimes I get an asthmatic response. And then when I wore masks, after about 10 minutes, like it would just get hot. My face would get hot and I would have trouble breathing. And I had these very breathable masks. But I don't know where they're standing on all these different things, whether they've reversed themselves or not. But I do know that, I used to cover this all the time, that on the official CDC website, it said that you were considered to have COVID. Now, you should think that you have COVID if you were in contact with somebody for 15 minutes or more and you were within 6 feet. You weren't social distance, which I guess Fauci, I think Fauci has reversed about that as well. But within 6 feet, and even irregardless of whether you're wearing masks or not. So do the masks protect if you were in 6 feet for 15 minutes, whether you're wearing masks or not didn't matter, right? So if you were sitting with a mask on, the other person had a mask on, and the other person had COVID, and you were sitting within 6 feet, and you were together for 15 minutes, the CDC said you more than likely had COVID. And you should just assume you do have COVID and go about, get tested and all those things. But assume you had COVID, and so the mask that you were wearing and the mask the other person wearing didn't prevent that in their own description. So, there's all that stuff. But let's get back to the RFK stuff here. But then there's this. RFK Jr. promises to not take sides with respect to 9/11 if elected president. Well, that's that, right? And so, again, this is not a quote. Take sides with respect to 9/11 if elected president. That's not a quote because you don't know what he's talking about. What is he talking about there? And MSNBC, again, here, Kenny says he won't take sides on what happened in 9/11. So this is what he said here. My take on 9/11, and again, he's being a piece of shit here too, because there's so much evidence available for this thing. I made videos about it that have since been taken down. I don't talk about this, but this was my big issue when I first entered into the truth community in 2005. That period of time, right? And so my take on 9/11 is hard to tell what is a conspiracy theory and what isn't. But conspiracy theories flourish when the government routinely lies to the public, which is a true statement. As president, I won't take sides at 9/11 or any of the other debates, but I can promise is that I will open the files and usher in a new era of transparency. So somebody asked him if he believed that 9/11 was an inside job, and this was his answer. Like, I don't know what this came into context of, him saying this, but it's on July 5th. So somebody said something about it, or he thought it might help him get votes from people, because opening the files, I don't think too many people would say that's a bad idea if you open the files, right? But that's, like the whole tweet. You could read this whole tweet, or at least show the whole tweet instead of taking it out of context, right? Because taking it out of context is like it should be a crime, because that's disinformation, especially when J.D. Vance didn't even know what she was talking about, right? Because that could mean so many different things. As president, I won't take sides on 9/11. What does that even mean? Like, without the rest of this, you have no idea what that means, right? Like it's up to your own interpretation, and then they interpret it wrongly, knowing this is, they didn't give context to it, and then they put it out there. So that's the mainstream media just lying about it, and she's doing that there.
All right, Fox News alert this morning. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg feeling bad for caving to the Biden-Harris White House, who he admits pressured him and his company into censoring COVID content. Zuckerberg writing, quote, in 2021, senior officials at the Biden administration, including those from the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 related content, including humor, satire, and expressed significant frustration when we did not meet their demands. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it.
No, think about this. Even memes, like they were censoring memes. Remember that? You can't put out a meme. You can't put out a meme about COVID because it's so terrible and it's going to kill everybody. And just the fear and they were wrong about it. Like, everyone's pissed off about this a little bit. Like, the economy they know is taking a hit because of it. They know the Democrats were worse than the Republicans. Trump fell for it. Trump, did what he did in the beginning of this thing when I was talking about gun control. Trump he caved to the pressure. He wanted to be the best guy. Oh, we'll get the vaccine done faster than anybody else, right? Operation Warp Speed. Trump caved because he's a piece of shit. But they know the Democrats were the ones that were pushing this agenda. They hid Biden away because of the whole pandemic. They closed down the economy, which screwed Trump over and cost him the election. He fell for it. And so, Zuckerberg is saying here what we all know, that they went over the line. And I hope YouTube comes out with the same kind of statement. We know Twitter is now completely changed hands, and they're, and Elon Musk is a shill and he sucks, but still, it's gotten better over there. But the government violated First Amendment rights.
GOP Congresswoman Laurel Lee sits on the House Judiciary Committee, and this is a big moment for her. What do you take from this this confession?
Well, first and foremost, this is a great victory for the First Amendment. For Mr. Zuckerberg to come out and acknowledge...
Yeah, it's not anything because it's not going to change shit, right? They're still going to censor and suppress. They have no choice. They know they've lost the internet anyway, but still they're going to do it because they just have no choice. They can't allow people to tell the truth and keep the system going. They say, there's lots of sheeple that aren't going to listen to it anyway, but, the system is hanging by a thread, and we got two horrible candidates, and without, with any kind of truth being thrown in there, it would destroy the confidence in the American people and the people of the world and the government and the system, which is already damaged pretty severely. So, it's just, they're desperate, and, they'll back off censorship, and they'll do it again and whatever. It's just part of what they do. Sunflowers are broken, and no, it's not because of their maturity. And so this is an article on Reddit. I'm not going to get into it. Basically, what it's saying here is sunflowers are no longer tracking the sun. They're getting stuck. And we have sunflowers, and they seem to go up and face east, but then they lose track of the sun. And we had a number of ones where I was like, why aren't they moving? Why are they facing east all the time? And so they get stuck facing, where the sun is when it comes up in the morning, and then by the end of the day, they're not close to getting any kind of sun at all, right? And they're called sunflowers because they track the sun. And so why that's happening, I don't know. 5G, what could it be, right? Pesticides, something's happened to sunflowers. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So somebody sent me this Indian guy did a video before. I didn't show it to you. It was a little bit funny. It wasn't, worth be covering. But this one's good here.
Who raised me and my sister was a proud woman. She was a brown woman.
She was an Indian woman.
She was a woman with a heavy accent.
That was Indian?
She was a woman who many times people would overlook her or not take her seriously.
Because she was Indian?
Because of her accent.
Because she was Indian? Why is she not saying she's Indian?
My mother.
Yeah, why didn't she say she was Indian? That's great. That was well done. The first one was just kind of funny. You can find that guy. I don't know. The first one was kind of funny, but this one was really good. Because, you're saying she's a brown woman, say she's an Indian woman, right? But why are you running away from that? And your name is Kamala, which is an Indian name, right? Kamala is a Sanskrit word, the original language, Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the original, spiritual language. Word meaning lotus. Lotus is a great thing. It has a lot of positive connotation. And again, this, Kamala is a nightmare. But, lotus is a positive, not just the flower, but it also represents the heart opening, all these things, right? So if lotus is, I use lotus in my book, My Friend Within. Kamala is a Sanskrit word meaning lotus. It's also considered the human, etheric heart. Is used as a feminine given name in Indian culture, predominant by Hindu families, as one of the names of the goddess Lakshmi, which is also a positive. The Lakshmi is you have a Lakshmi of your house, you have, you have your the mother and the wife who's like a divine angel, who's the goddess of wealth and prosperity, right? She's, the giver of positive energy and growth and abundance and things. Who appears from the center of the lotus. The masculine counterpart is Kamala, is a name given for Indian boys, right? I've known people named Kamal as well. And so that's an Indian name, right? You grew up in an Indian household. And, that's just whatever it is. Why run away from that? They keep on running away from it. Like, what difference does it make, right? Like, everyone kind of knows now. So, like, everyone knows you're Indian. Why not say my Indian mother, right? Like, when I talk about my family, I say my mom's Irish and German. And, I talk about my ancestry, and I don't even connect with it, right? Like, I'm not first generation. My dad grew up in America. My mom grew up in America. And so my dad's father was Sicilian. His mom was Albanian. My dad didn't speak very little to no Italian, right? And, he had some culture of Italian culture there because he grew up in New Jersey where there are a lot of Italians, right? But I had less so, right? And again, people associate me with being Italian because my last name's Romano, which is is an Italian name, Sicilian. But, like for me, like I know a little bit about it, right? I worked in Italian restaurants. I hung out with Italian people. And my grandparents, like, I couldn't understand the word, they were old when I was a kid. And so, I have some of it, right? And also the Albanian thing, a little bit less. My mom identified as Irish, so a little bit more than the German part. My grandfather was German. But, like, I don't have most of the cultural stuff because I'm a third generation American, right? My parents were American citizens. My grandparents were immigrants. Her mom was an Indian woman who had just basically gotten off the plane from India 5 years before she had Kamala. And so, so there's that, right? Mariah Carey reveals her mom and sister both died on the same day in a shock statement, "My heart is broken." So that's weird, right? This would usually go on my other, my other channel. But, I haven't been making videos there, so. Okay, so it's still Wednesday, August 28th. I've gotten most of this video done. I'm not sure if I'm going to add anything tomorrow. And if I'll leave this open, I'll just get it up on the internet. Then I'll start my next video. But anyways, I got a couple of epic comments. But going back to that earlier comment I read, it came in on my phone, so I wasn't editing the comments yet. So I started editing this video. And I passed that comment again, and there's a few more comments to that comment where the person said, have you ever considered that the system is like a left-right paradigm? It's not it's rigged on both sides, right? And a person says, he says that in basically every video. And so, it's just a dopey comment, right? But then there was another comment from somebody these were people who all watch my videos regularly. Like there's these, what I was saying before, there are these symbols like emojis that I see that you guys don't see. One's a purple one, which means a person comments a lot, and the other one's a red one that says a person's been a long time subscriber and says how long the person's subscribed, right? And both these people, these next two comments I'm going to read, all three of them are from people who have watched my videos for some period of time. And so, maybe they come and go, right? There are people I haven't seen in a while, whatever, but I kind of recognize them. There's people who stand out. There's probably maybe 1,000 or so people who I recognize, especially people who've been around a long time when I didn't have as many subscribers, so I had more connection with the audience, right? But, I have a pretty good memory, and I can remember, if people have it depends on their emoji or the quality of their YouTube name. Some YouTube names just stick because they're really funny or they're interesting, right? Or people just comment a lot, or people send me messages and things like this, that I have a sense of them as a person, right? And so this person writes, and she comments quite a bit, and she has a purple symbol. "I hear what you're saying, Brother Paul." And this person, like a nice person, I mean, I don't, it's just, I wouldn't normally read this kind of a comment because the person's been around for a while and not someone who I'm mad at. And I'm not mad at this comment. It's just such a head scratcher. "I hear what you're saying, Brother Paul. However, we only have two choices as a country. Kamala is a communist. That's the main reason they are hiding her daddy. Like you said, they will put whoever, I think she means, however, plays ball with them. Right there's no happy ending. Right, there is no happy ending. Hope this situation makes more people up, wakes more people up. Well, there's no wake. Again, the system's going to collapse because it needs to, because people are dopey. But she's not a communist. There's nothing in Kamala's situation, what she's done as a person and the way she presents herself, that would indicate that she's got anything that resembles a communist bone in her body, right? Now, if her dad's a communist, then she certainly isn't. Her dad is a Marxist economics professor, but they don't speak. Like, hasn't talked to her in years. They are completely estranged. And I don't know how much he was even a part of her life as a kid. I don't know why she's mad at him or not. But, kids rebel against their parents. But Kamala, a communist woman doesn't date a guy who's 30 years older than her to get positions in the government, to prostitute herself and do all the things that she's done. She's clearly loving life. She likes power. She likes money. She likes celebrity. She likes prestige. She likes the nice things in life, right? And she's not a communist. She's not for everybody to get. She doesn't want equal distribution of wealth. She might say that. But she's not a communist or socialist. She's, they say she's hyper-liberal on some things, and she went out and said everybody be woke. It's what I said at the beginning of this video. It's easy to see. Trump and Kamala have no dogma. They have no religion. They have no higher authority. They have no moral compass. That's facts. Like, it's just easy to see. Everyone should see it. Calling someone a communist as a Republican is just like really stupid thing that they do. It's everything I said about just being a piece of shit and making things up about people that suit you. Like, it's just the easy way out. Like, she's a Democrat, she's a communist, right? Very few of these Democrats are anything close to being a communist. Maybe somebody like Bernie Sanders could be called a socialist. None of them are communists, right? It's stupid. Like, it's just stupid. Like, it's, and I can't say it anymore. It's like, it pains me that people watch my videos and our regular viewers and they can't see this, right? I mean, not because of, because of their limitations. I don't know what it is. I don't know what makes it that you can't see this. So then there was another comment not that far, not that long after that one. And this person, was someone I kind of recognize, maybe used to watch some time ago. Wow, really uplifting for you to say nothing good is going to happen. You act like either one will destroy the country. Really? Unfollow. And I'm leaving these comments up, by the way. And there's a long list of people already responding. But the thing about it is I was wrong. I read this comment and I'm like, you got me. In fact, it's going to be either one gets elected and they're going to solve the problem. America is going to be made great again and progressive again. Either way, Trump's going to make America great again. Kamala is going to move America forward. And all the stuff that you're seeing out there that would indicate that people suck so bad that the system has to collapse and that the system is completely broken down and the quadrillion dollars of debt that America is in will just disappear or will be somehow divinized in some way, and everyone will be wealthy and everyone will be happy and everyone will get along. The division between the liberals and Democrats will be healed. And I mean, it's just all going to work out. I don't know why I was thinking. I was just being so negative. I was just being so negative, but looking at all the things that would indicate the fucking system's collapsing and saying the system's fucking collapsing, and neither one of these shills and these puppets. In fact, these are both great leaders. They're both brilliant. Either one of them. Like, you could vote for both of them. Vote either one, or just wait. You don't even have to vote at all, because whoever wins, even if somebody gets written, even if they write in Mickey fucking Mouse, it'll still be, it'll all be Shangri-La. It'll be utopia, because that's the only way it could be. Like, all the things that you're seeing that would indicate the system is about to collapse and should have collapsed years ago is just wrong. Like, it's an illusion. Everyone's going to just go to heaven immediately. They're going to, everything's going to work out. It's just going to be great. Like, just, don't try anything. In fact, don't prepare for anything. No, don't do any. I was going to do actually a plan B for this video. I forgot to do that. That's what happens. Like I said in my last video, and I just realized. But don't come up with a plan B. Don't, think about anything. Don't connect to God within you. Don't, just sit there and believe that everything's going to work out, and it will. Completely. And it's, the whole system's going to be great, and the whole world's going to be great, and there's no problems here. There's no, desperation, and there is no breakdown in morality, and there's no, everything you saw at these conventions and all the fakeness and all the bullshit and all of it, right? And so, they're both great people, and they're both great leaders, and there's no chance of that. Don't even think for a second that at some point this civilization might collapse like every other civilization in history. And that when depravity and immorality and the debt-based user system run its course and all these things, that it'll collapse of its own depravity. That's just not going to happen. It's silly. I don't know why I would even say such things, where I got those crazy ideas, but your comment has set me straight. The fact that you were going to unfollow me too, it was this thing that it was like an epiphany. Oh my God, I've been seeing it all wrong. I'm being so negative. Why am I being so negative, right? Why am I being such a Debbie Downer? I mean, this wonderful comment, you don't find brilliant minds like this everywhere. Wow, really uplifting for you to say nothing good is going to happen. I mean, the brilliant mind here, and I didn't say nothing good was going to happen. I said the system was going to collapse. I didn't say that, maybe I used those words. I don't know exactly what the person's referring to in the video, but I didn't mean nothing good's going to happen. The system collapsing is good for, future generations. It's good for the environment. It's good for the planet. I mean, it's good for all of us because we're all, we're going straight to hell with our hedonistic system, right? It's leading us away from the divinity within us and our soul's path. And I mean, it's just going to be bad for us in terms of our addictions to the system and our comfort level and our shock to the system, right? If you wake up one day and all the supermarkets are closed and they never reopen and you can't drive your car because there's an EMP and everything's just sitting there, whatever it is, right? I mean, there's some kind of apocalyptic event. It's going to be a shock. Just people will die from the shock alone. People won't recover. They just won't be able to adjust and absorb what's happened. It's going to be such a, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to process something like that, right? And the chaos that ensues, right? So yeah, that, that seems bad. It's going to be experienced as bad. But if it's coming from God, and it certainly will be, then it's for the best. All right, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing from the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.